All right, hey guys, we are back. It's Mike and Steve, the McCarthy Brothers Super Fun Metal Hour show. Today we are going to be talking about our top 5 albums of 2019. All right, so I made a list of all the albums that I had that came out in 2019.
You still buy CDs?
I still buy CDs, so I'm going to go through all the ones that I know of. I may have missed some, but Mike, you might have some picks that aren't on this list that obviously came out in 2019.
Are you just listing all the albums you bought?
So first I'm going to kind of say who's in the running for me. So who are the nominees?
Steve now lists every single CD he bought in 2019 for the next 90 seconds. No.
And starting off is this was a surprise for me, and I really got into them after seeing them play with Parkway Drive. They did a co-headlining tour, and that is Killswitch Engage. They had an album called Atonement come out, and Killswitch Engage, we saw that, we were at one of their shows.
Dragon Force. Right?
Dragon Force. We didn't even stay for Killswitch because we just went for Dragon Force. And they've never really been a band that I paid much attention to. I've known some of their songs, and they have
like
some,
Rose of Sharon and stuff.
Yeah, they have some good songs, and then saw them open or play with Parkway Drive.
Is pretty good.
And they their new album, it's so the song The Signal Fire, it's might have been my favorite song of the entire year, with Howard Jones, their old singer. And the album's not remaking history or anything. It's not breaking down barriers, but it's just a really, really good album. And so there's number 5 for me, Killswitch Engage, Atonement.
You know what, I'll go number 5 and then we'll kind of go back and forth.
Oh, that's a good, we'll go back and forth.
We'll go back and forth. Okay, so my number 5 is... Well, it doesn't have the album, the band name on it, but it's Baroness, the Golden Grey album, and we got to see Baroness live in Buffalo, which was great.
Yeah,
and it was just a great album, and they are very consistent.
They don't put out a bad album.
They put out albums that you can just listen to through and through. The Purple album is a great album. Yellow and Green were great. Blue album. I've never got a chance to listen to the Red one, the first one, but just really consistent album.
And I got into it a lot more after we saw them live too. And their show takes it to another level.
And it's just they're so passionate about it. And what I love about the Golden Grey album is that it's just, there's such a hint of sadness to everything. So it's like if you took Mastodon, threw in maybe a little more 12-string guitar, and then made it a little sadder, is really kind of how I feel Baroness would come out. And just really great album. Just if you guys have not heard it, put it on, listen to it a couple times, and there will be some things that catch your ear.
There you go. Cool. Number 4 for me is the album True North by Borknagar. I initially had this one probably in a top 10, and then after I just listened to it more and more, the more I liked it. It just, we talked about it in another episode, and it's just the whole thing. I think it's 8 songs long, but there's so many ups and downs in terms of the pace of the music or the style of music. It's heavy, it's slow, it's big. It's just a really damn good album.
For me, number 4 is going to be Soul Dusk, Lunar Falls. I happened upon this when it was summertime and I was in Portsmouth, and there's a great record shop right in the middle of downtown Portsmouth, and it has a huge metal section. And I picked it up because I was like, oh, that's a cool cover. I wonder what they were. I really couldn't find much on them. So
limited edition of 1,000.
Yeah, and really, it sounds very much like, and I apologize if I pronounce this incorrectly, but the one woman black metal project, MYR Merkur. I don't know how to pronounce it, so I apologize. Sounds very much like that. It's female-fronted black metal, very slow-paced. If you like Agalloch, a lot of acoustic guitars, a lot of sad passages. Sounds like funeral music. Sounds like, there's hints of My Dying Bride in there, but then there's the blast beats and there's the screams, and you hear the mayhem behind it. Like, not mayhem as in the word mayhem, but mayhem as in the band Mayhem. You hear that behind it.
Influence they have.
Yeah, exactly. So great album for like a nice summer day, drinking a beer on the porch, throw on Soul Dusk, Lunar Falls. Great album.
And I've literally never heard of them, so I am excited to listen. Number 3 is next. I went with an album that we reviewed previously in another episode by the band Spirit Adrift, Divided by Darkness. It's just, this is such a good album. It has one of my favorite songs of the year with Angel and Abyss, which is just so phenomenal. And then Hear Her, which is just so chunky and Sabbathy. It's just, there isn't a bad song on this album. And coming from Curse from Conception, their previous album, which was also very good, it just, to beat that, I mean, you see, if you follow any heavy metal sites or anything like that, I mean, I've seen this album on a lot of top 10 lists for the year, and
this album's been topping a lot. Yeah,
it's a beautiful album.
Well, we have a tie, Mike, my boy, because my number 3 album was Spirit Adrift. Ooh. Spirit Adrift, Divided by Darkness, and just echoing the similar things Mike said. So, if you guys have not heard it, there's tons of us metal fans that love it. So go out and hear it and buy it.
Agreed. Number 2 is a band that I just saw recently. They did a headline tour, and this was their biggest one to date. They played a lot of places, a lot of House of Blues size venues, which is good for them. I'm very happy to see them get big. They had a huge year. The band Knocked Loose. We saw them last year at To the Season.
To the Season. Yeah.
And they are kind of a new wave of hardcore. I mean, the album is called A Different Shade of Blue, and their previous album, Laugh Tracks, was just one that I've had on nonstop for the past couple of years, and I was waiting a long time for them to put out some new music, and this is just, it's so good. Just the breakdowns, and I mean, they have our pal Keith Buckley guest on one of the tracks, and
oh, that's cool.
It's the riffs are so good, and it's such a heavy album, and Brian's just screams. Like, I know when I've talked to friends about this, like, the vocals turn a lot of people off to this because it is just kind of a constant scream, and I understand why that could turn some people off. I really like it. I dig the intensity and just the effort that these guys are putting in, the hard work, and just building up a
building
base,
up a fan base through touring, like the old school way. Yeah.
So, Knocked Loose, Different Shade of Blue.
Interesting. Well, speak of the devil and he shall appear. My number 2 album this year is The Damn Things, which is the album that has Joe Troman from Fall Out Boy. I don't know the guy's name from the Alkaline Trio, and Scott Ian from Anthrax, and obviously Keith Buckley on vocals.
It's got 2 people from Fall Out Boy, drummer and guitarist.
Oh yeah, that's right. And the album is pretty much everything that I wanted them to do. There's a couple of tracks that aren't as strong, but everything on there I could put the album on all the way through. But songs like Invincible and Omen and Carrying a Brick and
Storm Chasers,
the
pace of Storm Chaser,
Cells, all of those. Just it's such a good album, such an anthemic rock album. It goes metal where it needs to go metal. It's so catchy. It really is. Keith Buckley sounds so good. I love his lyrics. You drag the body home, you know, like I love that in Omen when he's talking about that. And
I mean, what I like about The Damn Things is, like, all these guys have successful other projects. Like, they don't need to do this. Like, they're doing this out of pure joy. So, you know, it's just like you're just getting a bunch of guys in a room having a great time playing music. Yep. And, like, even in Cells, when there's that, like, kind of dip in the middle where he's like, Keith is catching his breath, he's like, fuck, and then just goes back in the mute. Like, that's so cool. And it's just something like this. It's just such a good album to listen to. And
the music
fun.
video is awesome for Cells too. Yeah. If you guys have not seen it, check out the music video for Cells. So that's my number 2 pick, The Damn Things, High Crimes.
That leads us to number 1, our favorite album of the year.
Ooh.
Mine came out in early January, actually, and it's been something I've been listening to all year. This band has gotten a lot of flack in the metal community lately.
No.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I don't care, because so see, you could already see it with him. So The
Oh,
band
no.
is Bring Me the Horizon.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say Deaf Heaven. Okay, I'm.
Oh
fine
no,
with that, yeah.
no, Bring Me the Horizon. So
Oh,
these
wow. Okay. I
these
didn't know that
guys
was gonna be
started.
number one.
Yeah, these guys started off as like pretty much a straight metalcore, deathcore band, just screaming breakdowns nonstop, and they, over the last 4 albums, they became more melodic. In the last 2, really, they introduced more electronic elements, which I know turned a lot of people off from their original fan base. I have one friend, hey Nick, who he couldn't get into this album because it was such a departure from their early stuff, which I get, whatever, that's fine. Everybody listens to what they like. Their album Ammo, which came out this year, I did not expect to like it so much. I heard a couple songs, and
Isn't Danny Filth?
Danny Filth is on Wonderful Life, and which is a hilarious music video because he's in his full Danny Filth gear with makeup and stuff, and just eating some cereal at home. And it's I know there's a lot of metal elitists that just really don't like this, or just fans that don't like to see change in a band's sound, which is fine. But this album is extremely catchy. It's very melodic. There aren't crazy breakdowns in every song. There's not a lot of screaming, but it's just an album that I have listened to for the entire year, and it's just I loved it. So Bring Me the Horizon, Ammo, is my favorite album of the year, surprisingly, even to me.
Wow. Well, probably not surprising to many. My number one album this year. It got 8 James
Deaf
Hetfield.
Heaven!
8 James Hetfields. Only Deaf Heaven has done that, and Michael Jackson have done that in all of our reviews. Now, of course, I am talking about Bork Nagar, True North. Mike already touched on the great things about this album. We go into depth in a different episode where we review it. Really, all I can say is if you have not heard Bork Nagar, you can go back through their entire catalog, all the way back to their first album, The Olden Domain, which is their second album, and just you can start anywhere around there and go through all of their stuff, and you're not going to not like any of it. It really is well-crafted folk black metal with just great vocalists, 3 great vocalists that came through.
And Vortex voice on this one is so good.
So good, so good. Yeah, so Vortex, keep on singing. Demu, you really lost a strong element when you let him go.
Shagrath.
Way to go, Shagrath. Although you were pretty close with the Chrome Division album to making that top 5, because that is a great album. So yeah, Bork Nagar, True North, my number one album of the year.
I did have some, there were a lot of great albums. I mean, Steve listed 32 of them that came out this year, and there's a lot of good stuff. And, stuff like the band Sun released 2 albums this year, which I am a big Sun fan. And even a band we were kind of ripping on earlier, Deaf Heaven, which we saw... Who we see him with?
We saw him with Gojira.
Gojira, that's right, and Code Orange. And I wasn't digging them too much, and then I listened to them more, and while I can't get through a whole album of theirs that well, they do have some good songs, and they...
Sleigh Bells had a great new album.
Sleigh Bells had a song come out recently. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff, and it's
There's a lot of great albums that
keep
came out this year.
keep supporting heavy music.
Yeah, and 2020, it sounds like is already lining up to be like a great year. I saw that
Billy Talent.
someone that hasn't released something in a while. I can't think of it now. But they were eyeing 2020, and I was super excited. I saw
Mastodon.
2020. I did see Mastodon was eyeing 2020.
Five Finger Death Punch.
5 Finger Chicken Finger Death Punch. Yeah. Yep.
There's a lot of good music out there, and there's a lot more coming. So
Yep.
there we go. There's our top
2019 top 5. So number 1 album. So give them a listen if you guys have not already. So thanks again for spending an hour of your time with us on the Super Fun Metal Hour here with the McCarthy Brothers, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.